a lot of drones to the battlefield. This is the huge part of the main goal, the main objective of this. Stop sending weapons to Ukraine because they can arm their drones, they can kill more young people on the battlefield. How do you find it right now in Washington? Is the policy going to the same direction, that they're going to send more weapons, they're going to send more ammunitions, even if they don't have manpower right now to fight Russia, they can use their drones?
Well, as regards Washington, everything depends on November 5th, not just who was elected president, though that all by itself would be decisive in ending the war very quickly if it were Trump, but also who will dominate the Congress. Because even if Kamala wins, if she doesn't have control of the Senate, if she doesn't have control of the House, it's hard to see how any further munitions or financial assistance will be sent to Ukraine. Simply, the Congress will not approve it, and so she can't do it. As regard, what I'd like to point to the interview itself, I was very surprised to see this on BBC. I mean, after all, Russia is a pariah state. Uh, what are they doing interviewing the Russian ambassador and dressing up for it, not coming in jeans and sneakers and pretending that they are the Zelensky gang? This was a serious discussion. And even if she asked rather stupid questions, hey, they're interviewing the ambassador and they're letting him speak. And it's going on, it's aired. That is remarkable. In general, the Western media, including Financial Times, the editors of which absolutely hate Russia, they are putting out more and more factually correct information about the state of the war. Maybe the editors try to insert a kind of scorpion sting somewhere, either in the titles they give these articles or in the body. But nonetheless, a, a reader who wants to understand what is going on can almost do that reading Western mainstream now. And it's because it becomes so obvious which way the wind is blowing, that the Russians have the wind in their sails, and that Ukraine is running around like a beggar. I mean, Mr. Zelensky, about which everyone's tired, particularly a beggar who tries to blackmail you if you don't give him his 20 dollars for lobster dinner.
How do you see the timeline on the part of Russian government? Do they see it that they can put an end to this conflict by the end of 2025, 2026? Do they have any sort of timeline in their mind?
Well, it depends on what you mean by put an end to the conflict. Put an end to Ukraine, and that they can do in a few months if they start using weapons of mass destruction, for example, call them tactical nuclear weapons. They can put an end to Ukraine very quickly. That isn't an issue. But put an end to the conflict with NATO and the U.S.-led West. There's where you have the more difficult question to answer. But I think Mr. Putin has answered it in a way by raising substantially the military budget of Russia and planning a very large incremental increase in the men at arms. He is preparing for a long war with the West. Whether Ukraine exists anymore along the way is a side issue. But the big issue is the war with the West.
And in your opinion, right now in Russia, is there any sort of desire to reconstruct the relationship with the European Union, or is that fading away in the public opinion, in the elites of Russia right now, who are talking on television, who are talking on these talk shows? How do they see the European Union right now?
Well, aside from some embittered people like Vladimir Solovyov, who who lost his wonderful villa in Italy to confiscation by the Italian authorities under sanctions. Um, in Russia, the situation is not so clear. Yes, the big names, the fifth column big names, like Anatol Chubais, they left. They quit the country. Kudrin has been out even longer, out of the country even longer. These liberals who were very pro-Western and who were, well, the language that analysts often use is comprador, they're sellout people who are have their own, cut their own special deal with the West and who have their family, their wives, their children in the West. Um, these people, the big names have left, but not all of them, but not the whole population who was sympathetic to the West. The single biggest component of sympathetic to the West were the whole intellectual class of Russia, the intelligentsia. They were very happy to be invited by Western universities to come at the expense of their hosts and to hold forth in front of university audiences or to be interviewed on television. They were delighted by this, and I don't believe that those people have written off the West. I think that if the sanctions were dropped, they would get on the first plane to Paris to go and enjoy a croissant that's made by the original bakers and not by the local bakers in Moscow. The that is it's human nature. It's understandable. It's not treason.
If you want to get your name, phone number, and address off the internet, but want to handle the removals yourself, Optory's free opt-out guides are amazing. When you sign up for Optory's free scanning, you'll get a full picture of where your personal information is shared online, complete with screenshots and direct links. When you combine this information with the step-by-step DIY guides on Optory.com, you'll know where to go, what to look for, and exactly how to get all this information removed. And if that seems like too much work, Optory has affordable paid plans with 30-day money-back guarantee. Either way, it's the best place to start protecting your privacy. Try a free scan and see for yourself.
It's not treason. It's simply people wanting to enjoy the comforts that they got used to, and to be treated with respect by people who have been spitting on them in the last several years of this special military operation. So, as to the ordinary people, what are people in the street? What is your neighbor in the next dacha to you thinking? That is difficult. It's almost inscrutable. Patriotism has risen without any question. Whether it is a xenophobic, a supranationalist patriotism, I don't believe so. I think people are persuaded the West has invaded their country repeatedly over the last 2 centuries, going back to Napoleon. They have seen on television the reality of how Europeans behaved in World War II, as opposed to the very much romanticized pictures of partisans and underground and pro-Soviet movements in France or elsewhere during World War II. Now they know better. They know that much larger numbers of West Europeans volunteered for Hitler's various divisions and were only too happy to go and invade Russia. All of these facts, of course, must make them uncomfortable. They're speaking about the guy in the street. But if the West were to revoke the sanctions and to start playing nice with Russia, I think there would be a restoration of relations, though, of course, the situation has changed. Russia will never buy from the West all of the consumer goods that it had before the special military operation. So much of it has been replaced by equal quality or superior Russian products at lesser cost. And Russians have gained a feeling of confidence in their own capabilities to make high quality goods and services, which they didn't have before. The country was lumbering under